So allow me to introduce our first speaker, who is from Surbana Jurong, Mr. Eugene. So he superheads and oversees many groups, special projects, and strategy initiatives, such as Digital Management Office, Sustainability and Resilience Office. He's also appointed as the Managing Director of Surbana Technology, pushing Surbana Jurong Smart City Agenda. So his presentation is an overview of the sustainability and resilience journey in Singapore and Surbana Jurong. Let's get loud. So please welcome Eugene. Eugene, please.
Thank you very much, Ricky. I'm assuming you can see my slides?
Yes.
All right. So good morning, everybody. My name is Eugene, and thank you for the introduction, Ricky. So I'm just about to share with you for the next 15 minutes of what sustainability and resiliency means for us in Surbana Jurong and the journey that we have done in SJ. And I really want to celebrate about it. And but again, this is going to be very high level things that we do because it's indeed only 15 minutes. So a little bit on about SJ. We are a Singapore-based consultancy powerhouse, and it's 100% owned by Temasek. But we do have offices all around the world with 70 over years of track record, and we do designs of industrial parks, for example, the Suzhou Industrial Park, and we invest in a lot of technologies as well as sustainability and resiliency. Why sustainability and resiliency is very important to us, as previous speakers has mentioned about the IPCC, and we believe that as designers and consultants, we are at the forefront to battle climate change with our designs and the use of materials. So it's very important that we get our designs right, get the building material right, the building metabolic rate in carbon right, as well as bring in the right technologies within the, whether is it during the design stage, the construction stage, or even the managed stage of the building, so that we can make sure our operational carbon, which makes up the overall embodied, the overall footprint of the building operation and embodied, well balanced. So it's really looking at how we can get design, technologies, sustainability and resiliency, digital, and the way we manage our buildings right. And that's where in SJ we have the whole line of services, as well as the track record from the capital side, investing in buildings, the design. During the construction, we manage the construction all the way to the management of the building. So this is going to be our campus where we stay, and we are eating our own dinner, whereby this is a super low energy buildings, boasting about 42% of energy saving, as well as with innovative passive designs. You can see this is a reversed terrace, so that it's self-shading. It's designed by Mushi, and the local architects is, of course, the entire SJ team. I'm part of this project for the sustainability as well as the smart campus team. So this is the mark that we are putting on in terms of not only reducing of carbon and energy, but we're looking at 100% green replacement, and also working towards true waste, managing our waste from the building that during the operational state. So this is one of the things that we are looking at. I'm currently taking my true waste exams from the US GBC, whereby my question is, for example, can SUTD be a zero waste campus? Means that, is there a way you say that zero waste goes into Palau Semakau? But I must say, around the world, there are campuses, there are buildings, there are cities working towards this. And that's where in SJ, we are also looking at a zero waste effort, whereby we are able to design buildings that can be recyclable. That we will know what is the building material bank, but the building is material bank, and even use technology like BIM to support that. The whole reason is because we want to ensure that we can measure our carbon, both embodied during construction and even operation, and most important, end of life. Can the carbon that we use and embodied building because we use design for manufacturing and assembly, can we dismantle the building in one end in Singapore and put it and then re-erect it 30 years into another building after we recondition the material? Answer is we should, because that is the future of how design is going to be, where you incorporate reversible design and design for construction into all these four race towards net zero. By doing that, it would mean that you need to know your buildings well. And this is the push that we're having called Building as Material Banks, because we're using BIM anyway, right? Building Information Modeling, and we'll be able to get all the, the thousands of materials that should go in and the quantity. We'll be able to measure the embodied carbon, and then we'll be able to know what is the design metabolic rate of that building. Is it 50%, 60%, 80%? Because structure is already about 30% of the building. And if you are able to recycle the structure, steel, concrete can become M-sand, for example, manufactured sand and aggregates. Theoretically, you can, design for deconstruction. So it is not only the 3 R's we should be looking at. We should be looking at regifting, repairing, recovering, refurbishing, not only just reducing and reusing and recycling. So the designs that we are looking is also biophilic, is also looking at wellness, bringing nature into the building, and really building in nature, absorbing nature. And that's what we are looking at within the whole group itself. But there's something interesting I wanted to share with you as well, biomimicry. It's used around in designs, but not too much I see within the construction itself. So for example, like the Fibonacci sequence, well, if you read, if you go and see the show Da Vinci Code, right, the Fibonacci, well, nature loves the Fibonacci. Look at the snail shell, for example. But having this sort of design makes efficient propellers, for example. Ever notice why the whales have this snubs? They actually hairs in front. Scientists are saying that they are for receptors, but as it also gives aerodynamism, and that's the reason why the future generation of these wind turbines have this type of tubercles as well, to be able to be more efficient. The nose of the Kingfisher was an inspiration for the bullet train, so that when you exit the tunnel or enter the tunnel, you won't have a sonic boom every time the trains go in. You see, design can look into this. Can we design our buildings that looks like with naturally ventilated, assisted stack ventilated, and can we design our buildings learning from nature? Answer is we can. Nature has spent billions of years to improve design, and buildings, humans are just there to learn from them and adapt it to our design. Previous speaker was talking about the Sustainable Development Goals. I think that's a perfect example, because what we have done is align ourselves to these 17 SDGs and how we as a company can contribute. So for example, we have a division that looks into food safe. We have a division that looks at resiliency as well, the preventing of floods, rising sea levels. We have a division looking at combating climate change in terms of looking at how we can improve our designs. So in terms of resiliency, we have a team of looking at resiliency as well, whereby we look at rising sea levels, how we can improve and prevent flooding, as well as building technological platforms that we can look at exchanging carbon. So this is something that the Monetary Authority of Singapore is doing, Greenprint, whereby they are looking at how we can bring sponsors from insurance, bankers, developers, and as well as certifiers together. And where we come in is looking at how we can look at certification, bring data science in, bringing technology in to help in terms of reduction of carbon as well, and trading of carbon. So this is just one of the pictorial things you are looking at now, whereby we have a horizontal, 24K is our platform that we own, but stuck in by different verticals, whether it's for the urban industry, the infrastructure industry, transport, and so on and so forth. Stay tuned to this page. It's going to be launched somewhere in November. It's going to be really very interesting. But the whole idea is really to march towards zero carbon, and through certification and bringing in technology as well as design. So one of the ways we're looking at is smart digital spaces as well, where we bring in sensors. So it's not just simulations, it's just not just certification. We have sensors inside to be able to take first-hand information to see how we can reduce temperature, reduce energy through getting proper temperature, for example. So it's a mix of using the building management system, with sensors, with people's feedback, and coming up with an algorithm to be able to manage the way we live in buildings, and in this case, plot in future design parameters for future buildings that we're going to be building in. So this is just a diagrammatic to see all our sensors putting in to see how we can work it out. Just to share with you, within our building itself, because we're staying in a 40-year-old building, we have also managed to kill 3 rats using technology, whereby we can actually plot out where the rat is actually going to put blue paper and manage to even catch 3 rats. And I think they went back to talk to the family and say, don't disturb SJ anymore, and we never have any more rat problems after that. We are investing heavily into digital twin as well, whereby in terms of sustainability, we'll be able to look at how we build pollution, noise, and also collect data, right? And collect data so that we'll be able to manage that in a digital twin. Now imagine if I can have many digital twins, and I'll be able to bring this data into an integrated operation center. That's what we'll also be building. And this center will be able to help us monitor firsthand, right? And also save in manpower and collect more data so that we will be able to build, use for design, data-driven design in this case. So with data, we'll be able to use analytics to pinpoint on how we can improve things, improve our design as well, and use tools like drones to help us in our inspection. But nothing beats the human being, whereby he is firsthand to say, I think it's hot. And with this type of feedback and data, we'll be able to adjust lighting, temperature, and so on and so forth. And this is just one of the few apps that we have created to gather this feedback. We have this app that is Singapore-wide. It's called iTown, and we are actually collecting feedback from citizens on how we can actually improve quality of lives in where they stay. This is my last slide, but basically it's actually a video to show, or rather it's just an image to show how we can actually bring digital twins in and this is a digital twin of Singapore, where we are able to keep our information and host information and even study green lungs, for example, heat island effect, and so on and so forth. So this is my 15 minutes is up, and I would like to thank you for your attention. Over to you, Mr. Ang.
Yeah, thank you, Eugene. So we have actually a few questions posed. So allow me to maybe pick 2. So we all know that sustainability is incredibly important, and then we're using technology to improve how the managing of the building have been done. So I would like to seek your maybe views and opinions in terms of cost, right? So as a user, will the cost of this particular building is going to be increased in terms of maintenance, in terms of the price or whatever, if we really want to enforce the sustainability for long term? Will the customer need to pay a higher cost for that?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, and everybody has been asking that as well to me. Just for information, my background, I'm actually a cost manager. I'm a quantity surveyor. So that is the first thing that they say, hey, when's your ROI and where's your return on capital employed, for example. Let me break it down to 2 things for you. One is tangible, right? And I kid you not to say that there will be an increase in cost, but you're not talking about 5%, 10% increase. It's probably about 1 to 2% increase, because already buildings have building management systems, and many, just like myself, as the managing director of Surbana Jurong, Surbana Technologies, we look at SaaS, which is subscription as a model or software as a service, and we do not charge the client's capital cost. So it becomes a sort of recurring operational cost. Our contracts with our clients can be anywhere between 5 years to 8 years to even 10 years, so that it becomes a clawback model in terms of subscription. But what I'd like to highlight is the intangible part. You cannot put a price tag on wellness. You cannot put a price tag on security. You cannot put a price tag on sick building syndrome, or in this case, a price tag on saying that you know what, it's okay to use more carbon now. I'll let my son or daughter or my grandchild to worry about that. There's no way you can put a price tag to that, right? So that's the reason why when we present to clients, we make sure that we have two aspects. One is the tangible, to show that, look, and there's going to be probably a cost increase, but this is how much. Their payback will be 3 years, for example, 4 years, 5 years. Your building, you're going to host for 30 years anyway. So that is the, and also when is the maintenance, the life cycle cost. So we do that for the tangible. The intangible, we'll come up with all those things like productivity increase, studies on how it shows that there's better wellness within the building itself, and so on and so forth. So that's the strategy that we employ. Okay. Good question.
Yeah. So another question, I don't know whether it's true or no. Let's assuming that right now our youngster, I can see that our youngster right now have a very clear mindset on sustainability. They are willing to pay the cost. You know what I mean? Simply because they know that it's important. How far you see in future that our customer is when they go on to rent an office or buy a house, like when we buy aircon or whatever, we want to look at the energy efficiency, meaning cost is not longer important. I only want to buy because this is a green building. I only want to rent because this is a green office. How far are we from this kind of expectation from the community in order to adopt this kind of demands?
Let me break your because we don't have very much time. The second speaker is coming about. So let me break your question very quickly into two. One is that actually for clients, that is actually happening now. I have clients from Germany, from Europe, that they are asking, from Africa, they are asking to make sure that no table, okay, no table in their office building must be 8 meters away from the window. So as you know, the depth can be up to 15, 16, effective depth is 16 meters in Singapore. That means that the client is willing to invest in a central air well where he's paying more facade, more glass area, so that there's more light coming in and ventilation. So clients are really starting this really. Now, people my age, I'm 46 this year, right? We are starting to look into it, but we are thinking on cost benefits. I drive a Mazda, it's a petrol car, and I actually want to change into an electric car, but the electric car is much higher cost, and the capital cost to change, plus, of course, I do a 5-year calculation. It doesn't now make sense. I have to top up another 150,000. I don't have that much to the way to do that. You see, so there is a cost benefit. So I believe I'm straddling between a generation that, we are in between. We want to move and get there. But I tell you, I guarantee you, and you all my witness, I will drive an electric car one day, but maybe not in the next 1-2 years because the capital cost of my car, right? But you're right, the next generation, my girls are really using coconut woven bags because it's biodegradable. They are asking and saying, Daddy, I don't use chopsticks, use the metal ones, but I know of friends who have cracked their tooth when they're using it, But so I think the world is very rapidly changing, and the social equity of going sustainable and green is there, and maybe it'll be a point of time that taxation will force me to make that decision and say go green now, because it's not it's not sustainable, economically sustainable to proceed. Thank you. Good question again.
Okay, thank you, Eugene. I think we have a bright future with our youngster paying more than they are really look for sustainability more than old folks like us. So thank you for your time again. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you.
Yeah.